In this first part of the series, we're going to be building the transmission. And for the transmission, you'll need bags 1, 2, and 3. Hey guys, welcome back to Revolution XRC and welcome to another build series. In this build series, we are going to be building the MST CFX-WS DC1. In this first part of the series, we're going to be building the transmission. And for the transmission, you'll need bags 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. In this step, you'll also need to use either the supplied black grease from MST or the grease of your choice, in which case I'm using Versachem brake caliper grease. For step 1, you'll need the following parts. Make sure this pin is the 2x9.8 pin. And that completes step 1. For step 2, you'll need the following parts. And that completes step 2. For step 3, you'll need the following. That completes step 3. For step 4, you'll need these following pieces. Now before I move ahead, I want to remind you that it's really handy to have the manual because it actually has a 1-to-1 representation of the actual part size. So if you can see here, this part actually matches up with the index or the key on the manual. So if you're ever unsure about the correct part, just compare it with the manual. All the gear sizes are 1-to-1 in size right here, so you can minimize your mistakes by making sure that you have the correct size by comparing it with the manual. So it's really nice that the MST manual uses the 1-to-1 size of all these parts. So very helpful to reference the parts index when you do have questions about which part to use. Now make sure you put this pin on the side that has more distance between the end of the shaft. This one has a hole that's closer to the end of the shaft, so the one with the pin has a distance that's further away from the end of the shaft. Just eat one first. And that completes step 4. For step 5, you'll need the following parts. You want to make sure that the pads are seated correctly on the spur gear. So just make sure that they are. This one happens not to be. There you go. And that completes step 5. For step 6, you'll need the following pieces: these two M3x40s and these two M3x10s. It's really smooth, pretty nice. Well, that completes step 6. For step 7, you'll need the following parts. Now this part right here, it's got a beveled side and a non-beveled side. I don't know if you can see that from here, but you want the beveled side facing towards the bearing on the transmission and the flat side facing up. So hopefully you can see this, but that is what you want. Kind of hard to see, I know. Right, to put this spring on, just compress it once. Put the washer on, and then the nut. Now don't over tighten it, but you do need to tighten it somewhat. Should be good. That should be good for the slipper clutch. And that completes step 7. For step 8, you'll need a motor of your choice and a pinion. I'm using the supplied pinion that came with the kit, which is a 17-tooth Mod 6 pinion, I believe. I think Tamiya uses Mod 6 and MST uses Mod 6 as well. So here's a 17-tooth pinion. For the motor, I'm using a Holmes Hobbies Trailmaster Sport 27 turn in the 540 can size. It's just a motor I had on hand, so I will be using it for this build. That completes step 8, although I'm not completely done with tightening this pinion yet because I do need to adjust the mesh with the transmission. For step 9, you'll need these following parts: these 2 spacers, as well as these 2 cap screws, which are M3x6. I'm just gonna realign the gear or the pinion with the spur. And now we can work on the mesh. Now this kind of setup is really hard to tell with a gear mesh, but I like to have a little bit of wiggle with the spur and the pinion. You could tell right there. You hear a little clicking, so I know it's not too tight. And I actually have to adjust the pinion a little bit. Alright, everything looks good. And that completes step 9. For step 10, you'll need the following parts: these M2.5 by 10 screws, you need 3 of them, and the dust cover for the transmission. That completes step 10. You'll need the following parts for step 11. These are 4 M3 by 10 screws. And that completes step 11. And with the motor mount attached, that completes the transmission portion of this build, and we'll move on to the transfer case next. For step 1 of the transfer case, you'll need these following parts. Oops, forgot this washer here. Let's go ahead and take care of that. Alright, well that completes step 1 of the transfer case, and we'll move on. For step 2 of the transfer case, you'll need these 4 M3x14 screws and the transfer case housing. We'll go ahead and put that together now. You also need some grease. Just make sure the transfer case spins freely and that there's no binding. And that pretty much completes step 2 of the transfer case, and that also completes the transfer case. And with that, we complete part 1 of this MST CFX-WS build series, the transmission and the transfer case. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell for future updates on this MST CFX-WS build series. Thanks for watching.